Good morning, everyone. It's really great to see everybody here in our studio. And for those that are watching, we're super excited. As you know, we started our podcast a few months ago now, and it's going really well. And we're able to bring some really amazing people on our show. And this morning, we have Rosie Wagner from Realty One. Super glad to have you, Rosie. We go back a long ways.
Yeah, thank you, John, for having me. I'm so excited to do this podcast. It's been a long time. John and I were getting reacquainted, and it's been a long time since we've been doing some business, but I'm looking forward to doing more,
Yeah, us too. Joe and I were talking a little bit about, I guess it's been probably 5-6 years since we've, been together, done some work together. Yeah. Then this crazy thing called a pandemic hit.
Right.
And we saw a lot of realtors leaving the business,
yes.
Loan officers leaving the business.
Wow.
Yes.
And here we all are.
Yeah.
We're still going strong. And so I think that's what we wanted to talk a little bit about today is, Rosie, you've been in the business for, you're going to tell us in a moment. Give us a little background. How'd you get into the business and how long you been in?
All right. Well, it's been a long time. It's probably been over 35 years. I've been in this business and started at a local office just as a receptionist, and then worked my way through different offices as loan assistant, secretary, escrow officer. So really did the gamut of different types of work in the real estate industry. What was really nice is being able to get experience from not just the real estate sales side of it, but the back end. What happens during escrow, what happens during title, what happens during a loan process. So I had the experience of being able to do all that. As well as being in the corporate sector where I did all the back end on REO servicing. We did all the development of the software that the title companies and the escrow companies use. So I was director of operations for Land Data, and that's a division of Stewart Title. And so we did all the work on the back end to put the programming, everything that they did. Yeah. So everything that the title companies and the escrow companies spit out, we serviced all that.
That's a lot of experience.
Yes.
Yeah. And then also worked at Fidelity, Real EC. I don't know if you know all their ancillary services that they do. So I was VP over there for a while and did startup when they did all their startup and everything there. So just a lot of experience, which has really, really helped me to be able to understand where the industry's been and where it's going, and also understand what my clients go through on every aspect of the transaction, and understanding who I work with. Understanding what you guys have to deal with, what the escrow people have to go with. When there's a lot of expectation on a realtor has an expectation, that escrow do a certain thing or that the lender do a certain thing. I know what they're going through. I've been there. I've had to do it. So more compassion.
Yeah, that puts you in a really good position to understand your client needs, set, like you said, realistic expectations.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's what we go through on a regular basis too, don't we?
Right, no, 100%. And it really helps when you understand all the facets of the transaction, coming from an escrow perspective, a title perspective, even on the lending perspective.
That's great. And what would you say that, speaking about the business and being in real estate, when it comes to helping people, I know Joe and I, when we kind of interview and we talk to different realtors, we always ask them, why did you get into the business? Maybe you can share a little bit about what got you into the business. Why did you even go into the real estate world?
Well, I think everybody probably has a different story on how they start the business, and giving you a little background about me, how I just started because I was at an office working. With me, I think it was just a natural progression. Having been working for the office for several years, working in escrow, it just became like the next natural step.
Yeah.
Get your license, do something with this. And when I actually started working for one of our offices, I also worked for a Century 21. I think that was my second office. Top seller, top producer. I think when you first start in the business, you're really hungry, and you just go after that business and you work your butt off and just do whatever it takes, to generate business. But even during that time when I started, it was it was more to understand the business and help people, because at that time I'm going to say this was back in the 90s. Yeah, 90s, early 2000s.
Just a few years ago.
I don't even know what year it is. But yeah, it was more an interest to understand the business, because I had seen it so much. And the people that I worked with in the first few offices were amazing, loving, kind, understanding, very generous. And so I wanted to be that. I wanted to be in that sphere, So I think that was what attracted me to be interested in it. And now it's developed more to be very service related, just help people. And one of the things that I do specialize in is divorce, because I know people go through really challenging time during divorce. People were going through difficult times during COVID. And even during that time, I was still very busy. We got locked down maybe a month, maybe at that. But our industry was still essential, and so I kept working during that time. But I found myself helping a lot of people that really need somebody who is compassionate, somebody who understands, maybe somebody who could be a little sympathetic towards their situation and not look at it as a financial, gain, more of a partnership, going through a sale.
Wow, that's amazing. And that's where I think Joe and I, we understand that as well. When you can, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? And when they see that, when they sense that this is a person who's not trying to sell me something. Right. This is a person that truly cares about me and my personal situation and wants to help. The business just seems to come in and keep coming in.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And a lot of these homeowners and even people, like John was saying, they can sense that, that energy, that aura. When all you cares about, getting that commission check versus really helping them get, what they want.
Well, you don't want to be a car salesman, right?
Right. A used car salesman.
Yeah.
Is there a difference? I don't know.
They say there is, right?
Right.
No, but definitely, you don't want to be somebody who's going to force somebody to sell if they're not ready, or somebody to buy something they don't really want. So the way I approach both aspects on the listing side, this is what I do. I know what I'm capable of. Let me present to you everything that my team can do for you. And we do it all. We do it all. So you're going to have many choices in the business to pick from, real estate agents. And so
here's why you should choose me.
Exactly. And no hard feelings. If we're not a match and you find that you connect with somebody else better and you think that they could do the job that you need them to do, it is what it is. There's going to be other business and no hard feelings. Same with a buyer. When I'm out, showing a buyer or a couple some property, and we're at house number 10 or house number 20 and they're not feeling it, it's okay. I'm not going to force them to buy a house they don't want. They have to be comfortable there. This is going to be their maybe 5-year home or forever home, who knows, but they need to be happy where they're at, and I want them to be happy with me.
Sure.
That I remember Rosie, she found us this house,
Right.
And so
they tell other people, Rosie is great.
Yeah.
Just the power of referrals, all because you treated them the way that you would want to be treated. It's almost the golden rule,
Absolutely.
right?
Exactly.
And
nobody wants buyer's remorse, right?
No. What's interesting, too, is several times you've mentioned being service-oriented, helping people. This is what sets me apart to help you to do this, to accomplish your goals. And Joe and I understand that too. Being in the lending business, we're very selective of who we're going to work with and partner with, even clients, borrowers, but even realtors, because those that don't have the same mindset that you have, Rosie, those are people that we don't connect well with.
Yeah.
Because we're very service-oriented too.
Right.
And we're not going to put anybody into a home or get them a loan product that doesn't fit them and is going to put them in a bad position.
Yeah.
No way. We don't want them to have lender's remorse, either.
Right. Oh, and it's the same thing, right? I mean, this is a mortgage. If they stay in the property for a long time, could be a 30-year commitment.
Yeah.
And so it has to go smooth, if possible. It has to be something that they could live with, and same with the house, right? You want it to be something that makes you happy, something that makes you comfortable. I mean, we all went through the time where people were getting loans that they couldn't afford.
Yeah.
And they were losing their homes. And I don't have any clients that went through that personally, and I feel blessed
good.
that I didn't
Yeah.
I didn't have to deal with that. But I did have clients that had to sell, new clients that I obtained that had to sell because they did get into a situation where they couldn't afford their loan. But my approach also was, what can we do to help you stay in your home?
Yeah.
I'm also that agent where if there's an opportunity to sell, but there's an opportunity maybe where you could stay because you really want to stay, let's work on that. I'm not looking just for the sale. Again, it's service oriented. So what can we do to help you stay in your home? You would do that as a lender. If you could find a way to refinance or do whatever they needed to do to stay in their home and save that home for them, that's what you're going to do. So I've done a lot of that as well. And when the market turned in 2008, I had a lot of that. And my first approach was, do you really want to move or do you have to move? And then what do we do from there?
Right.
And so if we had an opportunity to figure out, can you stay in the home, we would work that, and I would lose a sale, but I know that I did something good for that client.
Yeah.
You did the right thing.
Good. Yeah, you did the right thing at the right time for the client. And they'll remember that. They'll remember that this person didn't try to sell me.
Yeah.
This person did what was best for me. And that's why you've been in the business so long.
I think so. I love what I do, and I think people see me as a source, whether it's a referral, for a lender or for a service. I get calls all the time. Do you know a good roofer? Do you know, somebody does windows? Do you know somebody that, that could do
yes, I do.
Right. And I do. And I have, a plethora of referrals. And I want to be that connection. I want to be that connection, for anything that anybody needs. And it could be anything. And I'll find you.
One-stop shop.
Right.
I'll find you something. I was mentioning that my daughter just got into the real estate business.
Tell us about that.
Oh my
yes.
gosh, I am so excited. So she just got her license. Her name's Sienna Wagner. She just got her license, and she's going to be teaming up with me. And as far as being that referral type service, somebody reached out to her, and they knew she just got her license and asked for a referral if she knew an architect.
Wow.
And I said, we got one. And so, she was able to send out that referral. And so I want to be known for that. I want people to feel comfortable, especially in my community. I've been in Foothill Ranch for over 20 years. I say close
You've
to
seen that grow.
Yeah, and it's been amazing. We have Baker Ranch. We have all the new development right there by City Hall in Lake Forest. And people know us. My kids grew up in that community. We've been there through all of their schooling. So, when you're in a small neighborhood, everybody knows each other. I have 2 kids, so between the 2 of them, I knew 60 parents.
Wow.
60 plus parents every year. Maybe the same parents for the longest time. But it was a really good connection, and so you build a lot of community. And I love it. I think my kids found a good community. I have a good community, and everybody helps each other. And now with all these platforms with social media, everybody connects. Everybody knows everybody's business, which could be good.
Could be good and bad.
Right.
But it's a good way to get information and to get help. And people are always asking, right? Does anybody know a good real estate company or a window washer, whatever? And so people connect, and it's a good way to be able to help your community.
Yeah.
Right, no, 100%. And Rosie, I wanted to ask you, kind of moving forward, it's like to the present. What kind of challenges are you seeing right now in the marketplace? I mean, I've been talking to a lot of realtors, some of our realtor partners. They're saying, prices are still high. There's lack of inventory. Affordability is an issue. What kind of challenges are you seeing right now?
I think I've seen a lot of the same thing, but so we had some listings earlier this year, and I think the challenges we have was making sure that we're pricing everything right, because everything was so up and down and so out of control last year that you really had to kind of step back and adjust and say, okay, what are the prices that people are going to pay for? In addition, with the interest rates having gone up, how is that going to compensate for what people are willing to pay and be able to afford? And so I tell my clients, if you need the house, buy the house.
Right.
The loan is so funny. I was thinking about what the rates were when I bought my home. They were like in the 8s.
Yeah.
Right.
And higher.
Sure.
And so we're like, oh, we got the lower end of the higher, right?
Yeah.
At 8%. So when I look at the rates now, 5, 6, 7%, it doesn't seem crazy to me. It just seems crazy in comparison to 2%, 3%.
Right.
But I tell people, if you want a home, the best time to do it's now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, the other best time was 10 years ago. But if you didn't do it then, now. You know, so now's the time to do it.
Well, they say date the rate, marry the home. Marry the house.
Yes.
If you really love that house,
well,
now's the time.
Exactly. We've seen the rates fluctuate.
We can refinance it.
But the thing that also fluctuate is the price, and it always goes up. You know, so you don't want to be stuck where now you can't afford anything. And we've seen, I've done a lot of leases in this maybe in the last 6 months, so many leases, and it's because people can't afford the mortgage right now.
Yeah.
And so I also tell them you have to find creative ways to do mortgages. There's so many options like the buy downs.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, you could still get in. You just have to look at all your options. And you have to work with different lenders. Not all lenders provide all the same options.
Right.
And so
Very
that's
true.
the one thing I tell people. I said, you got to be able to shop different lenders. And and it's okay to pull all your information and gather it and provide it. Because I think one of the things that I notice on a lot of buyers is they're gung-ho, they want to buy a home, they understand what the rates are, they understand what the process is, but when it comes time to submit their paperwork, I don't know why they just don't move forward.
It's like,
you know, you really
my
have
paperwork, you can't have it.
No, you
Right.
really have to hold their hand and encourage them that it's okay. You know, without this step, without them knowing who you are on paper, it's really hard to find out, you know, what you qualify for.
It's true.
Because I have a lot of people that look for homes and they're real excited, and I said, I love it too, but we need to know what you qualify for.
Got to be transparent.
That's step number one.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard for people to, and really the commitment's not that big, right? It's here's my social, here's my social security, here's my, you know, credit check fee, and some of that's even free nowadays. You know,
That's true.
But as far as challenges, I think it's just people being uninformed, and that's where we come in. You know, letting people know what the market's doing and how it's changing, but also taking that fear away, either as a seller or as a buyer. On the seller side, maybe the fear is, what am I going to be able to get into if I sell my house? You know, the prices might be too high, the rates are too high, but again, there's many options, you know, for them to make a transition.
Right.
So
100%. No, I love your mindset.
Yeah.
I love your energy. I love you're so positive because, you know, we're talking to John, we're seeing a lot of realtors leave the business, right? As much as even loan officers are leaving the business because it's getting really challenging. What kind of advice would you give to the realtors, someone who's thinking of just leaving the business? I mean, your daughter just joined your team, so there's growth there.
Exciting.
You're growing your team. What kind of advice would you give another realtor who's thinking of quitting or leaving the industry so that they just, you know, just hang on and keep going?
Yeah, because I've been in this so long, I've seen the market go up and down. I mean, I was here for 2008, and in the 90s, even when I bought my house, there was, you know, that time where it was challenging and there was multiple bidding on everything. I would say stick to it. I say you have to kind of plan your year and understand what your budget is. What are your expenses going to be? Because new agents, I think they're shocked that you really have to invest in yourself and invest in this business to stay in the business. So anytime you do have a transaction, you got to invest back into yourself. But if you're initially not making any money and you still want to continue and pursue, I really think it's important that you find a niche and you really get involved in your community or get involved in some type of community where you're active and you're excited about what you're doing and you could still share about what you're doing. And again, even if the money's not coming right away, people know who you are. People know that you're willing to help. They see you as a resource. And you and I said it, the money will come.
Yeah.
The business will come.
Right.
I'm a firm believer that if you're willing to put yourself out there, give of yourself, you know, without having an expectation that the business will come. And there's also a lot of niches in the business that you could get into. So if there's something you really like, whether it be maybe you have a love for a certain type of community, maybe military. You could focus on something like that, you know, and really be that person. If you really like doing business with condos, you know, maybe be somebody who just specializes in condos. Really focus and become the expert.
Yeah.
So I think just being a wealth of knowledge, maybe being an expert in a niche, business is going to come.
That's great advice.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, and it's not necessarily every year's, been a phenomenal year, but you have to love it. You have to be committed, and you have to decide this is going to be my career.
Right.
I mean, I'm going to retire doing this business.
Yeah. What's interesting too is, and you mentioned about having that niche, and I think that's where Joe and I are seeing that as well. You have your standard lenders who, they'll either maybe wait until business comes to them. They'll sit in their office. If their phone rings, great, I'll help you. But then you have other lenders like iFinance Mortgage. We're doing something to give back proactively upfront so that realtors and other partners that want to work with us, they see, oh wait, there's extra value here, such as being able to advertise your business. We want to help you grow your business. In the process, obviously, it helps us grow too. But we're to the stage in our careers where we're looking to have some fun as well.
Yeah.
Fun in building your career and other careers. We're doing podcasts to help advertise things. We're on social media, constantly advertising.
Yeah.
When you post something, one thing we've been doing as of recent, let's say it's on Instagram, you post one of your listings or whatever it may be, we'll turn around, make a comment on it saying this is a beautiful property. We're going to share it on our social audiences.
Right.
We turn around, share it, tag you, and it's just all about bringing, and enhancing our partners. When we enhance our partners' visibility and marketability and show trust in them so that others will do the same, it's a win-win. So that's one thing that we're trying to do as a company to ramp up and show more value for our realtor partners.
100%.
And I think you saying that, John, bringing value to others, everybody should do that, right?
Yeah.
Myself as an industry, anytime I meet any client or I'm out doing something, I want to promote their business too.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I do is I do a lot of Google reviews.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get anything out of it. I enjoy it. I love promoting the business.
Yeah.
I have no expectation. I'm just giving my honest review of my experience at the restaurant. And even some businesses, I'll do businesses, but mostly restaurants. And I think it's really important to help each other, right? You want a business to grow. I probably don't ever do a bad review only because I'm giving my opinion on the food, the atmosphere and stuff like that. And if something was really horrible, I'm going to address it with the owner.
There you go.
I'm not going to blast them, on social media or anything like that. I don't think there's a need for that. Honest review on my experience, and that's about it. But I want to help other businesses, whether it's your business, escrow business, because everybody works together. I mean, when we go to these meetings, you have all the affiliates there. And they're looking to generate business, but they're also looking to help you, help you grow your business. What could we do for you? How could we help you find either leads or provide anything? I mean, during COVID, you had a lot of the title companies giving you booties and masks.
Oh, yeah.
All of that helps.
Sure.
And you could help them in return by advertising a little bit about them. Maybe, letting your clients know that there's these offices that you work with. And it's obviously better if you've done business with them and you know what their experience is, so you could, tout them. But it's that type of business where you constantly have to be helping each other.
Yeah, right.
You can't, this isn't a one-man show. And I think what people don't realize, and maybe underestimate, maybe on the loan side and on the real estate side, people think you just put a sign, people come and make an offer, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's so many people involved in one transaction.
Yeah.
Right? And just in one transaction, everybody behind the scenes on escrow, on title, on the sales side, on the loan side, recording side. People don't even think of the recording side.
Right.
But there's so many people involved. The appraiser, the inspections, so many moving parts, and people don't realize that you're the coordinator of all these things that are happening during a transaction. And it's 24/7. A lot of times it's 24/7. There is no break during a transaction. And if you do it right, nobody notices any of that.
That's right.
If you do it right, they just, here's your keys, sign some papers. And that's what I hope that I could do for somebody, is make it seamless, make it less stressful. or no stress. That's really my goal, is not to have any stress. Let me carry the burden, and I'll hand you the keys.
Right. Yeah, and that's what you want to do at the end of the day, because sometimes you hear these stories from these buyers that say, "Oh my God, the process was so painful," right? And then they're just unhappy. But like you said, you want to make it easy, simplify the process so that when they close, they're happy, and that's how you generate the referral business, right?
You made an interesting point there. You said you want to make it seamless, almost so much that they didn't even know you were there.
Yes.
And one of my other little side jobs or passions is I'm a professional beach volleyball referee. And one of the things that we talk about as referees is we don't want anybody to remember us, right? If you're the referee that they remember, something might have went wrong. Right. Maybe you blew a call, right? We don't want people to remember us. We're there. We're just arbitrators. We're neutral. We're there to facilitate. And really, no matter what we're doing, we do so much, like you said, behind the scenes that our clients have no idea. We just save the world behind the scenes for them. That transaction might have went south because of information we're just learning about or unexpected things that come up. We manage all of those things, and we do it with a smile so that everybody's happy.
No, and there's so many times during the transaction that you're not sharing a lot of those things, unless you need an okay or an approval or something like that, then you get somebody involved. But for the most part, you're just handling it and just taking care of it. All right, keep moving forward. But there's a lot of moving parts, and you will have those moments where you have a transaction that's really smooth, and that's amazing. When you have one that no glitches, everything's good, everybody signed, everybody was available, nothing, no surprises, that's amazing. And I think it's a good reward.
It is
with everything else
for all the other ones we do.
No, it's really good to be able to have those, but that's not realistic, right? Everybody's going to have different things that you.
We get some challenging ones sometimes, and you know what? It makes us stronger. It makes us better. It keeps us on top of our craft. It makes us research things, be more knowledgeable. We realize we don't know everything. There's questions that come up sometimes. We're like, "Ooh, wow, that's a challenging one."
Right.
We have to go get that answer. Yeah. But I guess that's part of the trust process, isn't it? When we're trying to possibly work with a borrower or maybe a new agent, nobody's going to want to work with us unless they trust us first. Right? Trust our knowledge. Trust the fact that we will not lie to them. And we will not lie for them.
Exactly.
That's a big factor. Some people are like, hey, could you do this for me? And it's a little shaky. Yeah. It's like, no, I can't do that. I'm not lying for you or to you. No. I'm going to be straight with you.
Obviously, we have to be ethical. That's part of the code that we take. And it's interesting that you said about the knowledge, because having been in the business for a long time, even if you've only been in the business a short time, but you've done a lot of business, you're going to encounter so many different scenarios that you're constantly learning, which is amazing. Even though it could be a hiccup in the transaction, you're learning so much that for the next time, you're prepared. Right. You've been through that. Now I know what to do. Because you haven't been through every scenario. There's always so many different scenarios people go through. But having been experienced enough to having been through it, the next time you're prepared, and it just helps. And to have a team of resources to be able to go to. I know if I had some lending questions, I would go to you guys and say, okay, how we're going to handle this. This is a unique situation.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody hasn't been working. Maybe somebody won the lotto. Yeah. Now they have all this money. It's like, how do we handle this?
They're keeping it in their pillowcase.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe they don't want to spend it all. They want to invest, and they still want to do a loan because it's. Even though people have cash, sometimes a loan is a good way to go.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
There's tax benefits,
Sure.
And if you won the lotto, you need tax benefits.
Right.
So, no, I think having experience and having the hiccups, with those challenges, it's a blessing. You get to learn from it.
Makes you stronger. And one thing that Joe and I and our company have really been focusing on lately is mindset. And I think we're seeing a lot of individuals on social media and others that are focusing on mindset too. Maybe we can just ask briefly for you, what kind of a mindset have you had to have through all these years sticking with the business, but especially let's talk recent with the pandemic and the changes in the market? What kind of what's your mindset like?
I think with me, it's been more, I've been through the cycles. I know how it changes. You still got to do what you got to do. And even though there's a lot of talk, about the market changing or the prices going down or the prices going up, for me, I stay focused on what's been historical. I know what the trends have been in the market for the last 30 years. So for me, I know it's just cyclical. Same as during the winter months, November, December, January, the market slows down a little bit. In the spring, everything ramps up because people are moving and making those transitions. And if you look at history, it's always the same. And the same when the market goes down, eventually the market comes up. I don't think we've had anything where we've stayed down for too long. It always comes back up. And yeah, maybe with the changes on the loans, we've seen, I think people be a little more scared. But as far as my mindset, just to stay positive, I know it's temporary. I know people are still going to move or need to move. People are still going to need to buy. Some people don't want to rent all the time. Rent is getting very, very expensive right now. And so sometimes it makes more sense. I was looking at statistics for back in 2008. In 2008, it was cheaper to own a home than to rent a home. A few years ago, probably same thing. It was less expensive. And again, we're talking Orange County here. It might be a little higher in Orange County. But Orange County is pretty big. It's not just South County. There's a lot of parts of Orange County that are still affordable. And people say they can't live in California, and I've seen a lot of people have desires maybe to move to Texas or Arizona or different places in the country. But there's still a lot of affordable places in California. You go inland, you go just a little further north. There's a lot of property in California, but I think people think of California as just right here.
The beaches, Southern California.
Yes, it's going to be pricier here. You don't have to leave California, to find an affordable home.
Yeah.
And so I say you just have to keep your mind focused on what you want, what your goal is, and then work towards it, and then work with a team that's going to help you accomplish it. That there's so many resources.
Yeah.
I want to be a resource for people. I know you want to be a resource for people. And so I say just make those right connections.
Right. Yeah. And that's powerful. You just said about goals. That's so important. Like they say, obstacles is what you see when you keep your eye off the prize, right? When you have goals, when you have objectives, and you have a purpose, right? Whether it's good market, bad market, it's just you become unstoppable, because you have a purpose, you have a why you do what you do. So that's great.
Yeah, I think if this is something, and we're talking back about somebody new and who's thinking about leaving the business, you just have to stay focused. You're going to go through your cycles. You're going to have a reserve, a cash reserve to be able to go through the changes. But I think you can't go into it when the market's like this. You can't go into it and believe everything you hear, like, oh, it's slow, oh, it's this, and just sit back and let life go by and not go out there and go for the business.
Right.
Everybody needs your services in one way or another. Even, like I said, I did a lot of leases these last few months. It's not a huge commission or anything like that, but people need housing.
That's
so
right.
You still got to help them.
You're setting up for the future as well. And what I was thinking too, you were mentioning, it's many people have had to pivot. They've had to adjust their mindset. And just a few years ago, when the refi boom was so strong, it was coming to us.
Right.
Now, it's time to roll up sleeves and get out and work.
Yeah.
And those that are working are not only surviving in our businesses, but they're thriving. People are closing loans every single day, and a lot of them. People are putting families into homes every single day. They're helping them sell. So the business is there. Yeah. It's just those of us that stick with it, have the mindset of positivity, and surround with a good team. I think you hit on all the key points. Right. That's probably why we're so well aligned.
Well, the business hasn't stopped. The business hasn't stopped. I think it's exactly that. It's mindset. If you think the business stopped, then maybe business did stop for you.
Right.
But the business hasn't stopped.
Right. What stopped is that people don't want to go out there and work for it anymore.
That's what it is.
That's what stopped. Because like John was saying, we went through a phase where business was very easy. There was a big momentum in the marketplace. The market had created an opportunity for everybody, whether it was realtors or loan officers, and now that has ended, right? Now reality sinking in. Now is, we have to create the opportunity. We have to go out there door knocking, prospecting, and that's what people don't want to do, right? So, but it's one of the things in life, right? It's either going to go through the pain of discipline, right, or the pain of regret, right? Yeah. So, regret wastes tons, and discipline is just going out there and working hard, right? So it's better just be disciplined, have a game plan, like you said, have goals, and just go out there and really help people, because we're seeing from our realtor partners that they're putting out offers. There's like 25 offers to one property. Yeah, there's limited inventory, but there's 20 buyers looking to buy. So what does that mean? That there's no excuses.
You got to go knock on a door.
Exactly.
The door of the house that they want. And that's what the business has always been.
Right.
Yeah.
When we've had those moments or periods of time where you say it's been easier, right? Where you get an influx of many buyers and the market's good and business is just coming to you. The reality is business isn't always like that, right? You're going to have to go generate your business. And exactly that. If you have 20 buyers that didn't get this one home, go knock on doors of the homes that they do want. This isn't the only house out there. Maybe it's the only house with a sign on it, but it's not the only house that could potentially be available. And so definitely have to stay on task.
Yeah.
We were at the board, it was the CAR annual meeting. We had that the other day in Irvine, and it was so funny. The president was talking about it's no longer the business where everybody's just coming to you and you stick a sign and there's multiple offers and all that. You actually have to go generate the business and do the work and do some advertising, maybe do open houses.
Yeah.
But that's how it's always been.
Right.
You get these little moments where it is a little easier and a little smoother. And when we say easier, maybe the offers are easier. The process is still the same.
It's the same process.
Nothing's shortened or easier, on the back end. Just because a house sold, in one day or a few hours, that whole back end process is still a lot of work.
Right.
And people forget that that's, still happening on the back end.
Right.
They just see the front. But it's consistency. You just have to be consistent. Whether you do. One of the things I got to mention, like if you ever seen some listings and they barely did any photos or anything for the listing, especially when the market was really hot, it doesn't matter, right? You're still getting paid the same whether the market was, whether the listing you had to work at it or not. You should still do everything the same, right? Still market that property, still show beautiful photos, still do everything you would have done in any type of market. And I think some people miss that. Some agents maybe it was so easy that they didn't put the time in, but that's your portfolio. Everything that you do on any transaction, that's your portfolio. And so make it all beautiful. Do everything you would do for customer 1 to customer 100. You just got to do all the same work.
Right, and it's powerful what you say, because that's a reflection of who you are, right? So, and this is where you, like you said, there were some agents that maybe didn't put a description on the listing, right? It was just very minimal. But maybe those are the ones that are struggling today because they didn't take the time to build their brand, to build themselves, to pay attention to the details, to do things right. And it's all the people that always put that extra effort that are still in the game. And those that didn't put that much effort, they're the ones struggling.
No, and you'll see it. Point. I mean, when you see a beautiful listing, you're going to see, like you said, the description, the beautiful photos. You know who the contact person is. You know that they've done, business either for years or that they have a lot of business going on. A lot of times in my business, I do a lot of off-market because they are divorces, and so it's not a lot of advertising. And we don't do the seller space. Hey, they sold their. They don't want to be together.
Sure.
on their listing or market all that. So a lot of times it's on the back end. But again, it's word of mouth and reputation. I get a lot of my business because of that. People know that I could be discreet. We don't have to put a sign out. We could do everything we need to do. We're still going to take beautiful photos of the property, right? You're selling the home. And so you work based on what you need to do for that particular transaction. But you never do less.
Right.
You don't do less.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's
Agree.
This has been very educational. We hope our general audience has enjoyed getting to know Rosie Wagner a little bit better. Joe and John from iFinance Mortgage. The whole point here is that we work as a team to service you. And that's what we love to do. Hopefully you've got to see that all three of us are very passionate about what we do, all in service to you. So we thank you for tuning in today. Rosie, we thank you so much for being a part of our podcast today. Yes. It just gets better and better.
Yes.
That we're having so much fun. And we also hope that your daughter, as she enters in the business with you, and there's some good things about her son, too. Yeah. Maybe they will share that for another podcast. But super excited you as a family are growing and having fun and not only surviving these pandemic times, but thriving.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining us. And we'll sign off today from iFinance Mortgage Productions. Have a great day.